Hi, welcome back to my channel, I guess. So today I'm going to show you guys how I edit my photos on my iPhone. Usually I try and use Lightroom on my computer, but it's kind of complicated to get into that. So this is going to be more of a lazy person, simple, easy, how to edit only using your phone tutorial. So I'll show you guys how I edit a range of photos of like nature, food, photos of me, just so you guys can see like a variety of different types of looks. So when I'm editing on my iPhone, I basically just use one app because I can get pretty lazy, and this app just takes care of all my editing needs, and the app is called RNI Films. The first photo I'll show you guys is a photo I took on my iPhone. So you're just gonna go to your photo library and then pick the photo you want to edit. I usually like to start with the crop, just so you can see what you're working with in the photo. And so since it's for Instagram, the ratio is going to be 4:5. So you just pick 4:5. And then RNI has a bunch of different pre-selected kind of filters. So there's negative, slide, black and white, instant. So you can kind of just like pick which one fits your vibe the best. Usually I like the filters in negative, so I'll probably just like go and see which vibe I want to go with. So for this one, I probably pick Gold 200 V4. I just think it makes the color in the photo look really nice. I kind of like it, so we're just gonna go with that. And then once you pick a filter that you do like, you just go to the basic tools, and then brightness I usually don't adjust just because I kind of like to keep the natural lighting as much as possible. But the contrast I will increase just so it's more crisp on the eye and more like a cinematic kind of feel. And then go to clarity, so again you kind of increase the crispiness of the photo. And then I love adding grain to my photos because I usually like my photos to have a more film-like quality to them. So if you go and you add grain, sometimes it can be a little bit too much on your skin. So kind of be wary with how much grain you do put. You can kind of play around with it to see what best fits your photo. Because this photo has a white background, already having more grain is like kind of easier to see in the photo. I don't know if this is making sense. I'm a little tired, so hopefully you can kind of tell what I'm doing here. But so I'm gonna add a little bit of grain, not too much, a little bit. And then pre and post warmth is supposed to help your white balance. So basically what that means is the lighting in the photo, you can kind of adjust to correct the whiteness. So because I do have a white background, I usually kind of like to make it a little bit more cool. So for pre-warmth, I'll probably go to the left and it'll be like super, super cool, or go to the right and it'll be super, super warm. So just a little bit of coolness. And then to balance out that coolness that I brought in, I'll probably go to post-warmth and bring that up a little bit, just so that I'm still warm, but the background is a little bit colder. So that's before, after, before, after. And then saturation, just increase that a little bit so there's more pop of color. And then sharpen, again, so the photo is a little bit more crisp. And then vignetting is another feature that makes the photo a little bit more film-esque, if you will. Basically what it does is it makes the edges a little darker. Similar to the grain, you don't want to put too much, just a little bit, so you kind of allude to it. Again, so it's a little bit more focused on the center of the image. And then a little bit of fade to get that vintage quality. If you add too much, you really crush the blacks and then kind of get rid of all the contrast that you put into the photo. So just a little bit. And then my favorite feature in RNI is dust. And this really, really makes it look like a film photo. Because basically if you go all the way to the right, you have white dust. And then if you go all the way to the left, you have black dust. Because my photo has a white background, I'll probably go with the black dust. And then usually I start with 100% because you can kind of see where the dust is positioned. And then if you hit the dice, you can kind of change where the positions of the dust is. And usually I like to pick something that doesn't have dust on my face because I find it kind of distracts from the actual image. And then once you pick one that you do like, you can kind of go back and like decrease the amount a little bit just so it's a little bit more subtle. And then yeah, when you're done, you can save it to your camera roll. And this is what it was like before, after. And then if you have more photos from the same kind of shoot that you did, you can select another photo and I'll save all your edits. So all you have to do is use the same edits and I'll apply it to the same photo. And then again, you crop it. And then voila, you have like kind of the same vibe. Next, I'll show you guys how I edit some nature photos. Again, I really like negative, so I'm just gonna stick to the filters in negative. And usually I always use Optima 200 warm just because I like the way the green looks in this filter. So I'll select that and then again, play with the brightness a little bit. Because this photo already is quite in the shadows, it has a little bit more darkness to it. I'll probably increase the contrast, increase the clarity, and then have a little bit of grain. Because the photos are quite busy, you can't really tell too much, but I'll just add a little bit just so I have some peace of mind that there's some grain in there. And then increase the shadows again because it's a little bit darker. And then play with the warmth again. I tend to, again, pull it to the left so it's a little bit cooler. So you can kind of see like the water becomes a little bit more white, if that makes sense. And then to balance that, again, I'll pull it to the right so it's a little bit on the warmer side. So here, like the sun peeking through the trees is highlighted when you add a bit of warmth to it. And then increase the saturation just a little bit so there's more of that natural color in there. And then straighten so it's more crisp. Again, not too much because I find when you have too much of straightening, it becomes too like jarring to the eye. So just a little bit will kind of trick your eye to thinking that it's a little bit more clear or like high quality, if you will. And then a little bit of vignetting again if you want that kind of film look, and then a little bit of fade. And again, because it's a busy photo, I probably actually won't add any dust to it because it's a little bit counterintuitive. You won't really tell that it's there. But yeah, so this is the original and the edited version. Before and after, before and after, before and after. And then when you're happy with that, you save it. So like another kind of like landscape or nature photo, I would again use Optima 200 warm. And then brightness a little bit, contrast, clarity. For this, because it's not as busy as the previous one, I'd probably add like quite a bit of grain to it, to be honest. And then a little bit of the shadows, again, warmth. Because it's quite a blue photo, I'll probably lean it towards the yellow side a little bit more. And then tint is your green and pink. Because the photo is already quite blue and green, I'm gonna increase it so there's a little bit more of the pink in the shadows. And then some saturation so you get more pop of color. Straighten, vignette. Once you kind of figure out the look that you like, it's really easy to kind of like go through these because you'll kind of know all the different features and what works best for you. So honestly, like when I figure out what kind of vibe I'm going for, I can edit some of the photos in like 10 seconds. It goes like by really fast. But so this is before and after, before, after. And then same thing for like food photos. I usually stick to negative. For this one, I'd probably go with Optima 200. So just the filter alone, this is what it looks like before, this is what it looks like after. So it kind of already changes the brightness for you. So I usually don't really change that when I go into it. And then increase the contrast, clarity. With food photos, I find when you increase the clarity, it makes the food kind of come to life. But again, you don't want to add too much because it can be a bit jarring. So kind of play with what works best for you. and then grain, because I like my film. And then for this one, there was flash in this photo, so I actually probably won't change any of the shadows or highlights because I kind of want to keep it true to the actual photo. And with this, again, because it has a white background, I usually like to bring it on the cooler side and then tone it down so that my subjects are more warm, but the background is cool. I hope that makes sense. And then increase the saturation. Again, not too much because then it just looks a little bit fake and unappealing. So with food, you want like a pop of color, but not too much pop of color. And then straighten, again, vignetting for that film look. And then you can add your dust. Voila, super simple. Before, after, before, after. Now this photo was taken on my DSLR, but honestly, the same deal. Just kind of find a filter that you like and want the vibe of the photo to be. Let's go with maybe this one actually. Yeah, it has kind of like a green but purple feel to it, so just the filter alone, before, after, before, after. And then brightness, I think it's quite bright now that I've added the filter to it, so I'm just gonna go to contrast and increase that a little bit more. Again, clarity, lots of grain, because I want this photo to be a little bit more on the film side, just because the lighting is already quite natural and dark. So I'm just gonna add some grain, and then I kind of want this photo to be more on the warm side, so I'll probably increase it to the right a little bit more. And then I do find it to be a little bit too green in the background, so I'll probably increase so it's a little bit more purple. Before, after. And then actually I don't think I'll touch the saturation because with the filter it kind of already brought up some of the color, even though there's not a lot of color. Straighten, vignette, quite a bit for this one because it's kind of, there's not much going on in the background, and I want that kind of vintage feel to really come to life, so I'll probably vignette it quite a bit. And then a little bit of fade to crush some of the blacks because it is a vintage look. And then add a little dust. Yeah. Before, after, before, after. But yeah, that's pretty much how I edit my Instagram photos. I hope it was super helpful. I know I kind of ran through it kind of fast, but I'm sure like you'll get the hang of it. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer them for you. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. Go take some photos and have fun editing. Bye.